Hey guys, my name is TJ and welcome to my channel. So today I'm making a rig rundown, and I do this every once in a while to show what I'm using, and hopefully it's a video that you can enjoy and see how other people are using guitar pedals for God's glory. My kind of signal flow is this 2010 Chinese classic vibe, 60s. It's got mods, so new trim, new tuners, new pickups, new wiring kit, and it has just turned this already awesome guitar into a monster machine. From there, I'm running into my pedal board, where I will go into GarageBand with Helix Native, and I'm using David Hislop's stereo V2 amps. So, pedal board, just into amps on Helix Native, no processing or anything like that. Here's the signal, just the Helix Native amps and this guitar on the neck. From there, I'm going into a Polytune 3, and the reason I'm using this one is it has a buffer in it, the Bonafide buffer. And I've had a TU3 for a really long time, but I actually like the buffer in the Polytune better than I do Boss's buffer. So it stays on all the time. That's the cool thing about the Polytune 3, is you can have an always on setting. From there, it goes into the Jackson Audio Bloom, and man, this is a really cool compressor. You have different attacks and ratios for the compression, and you also have a blend control, then you have an EQ that is independent from the compression, and then you have what they call the Bloom, which is essentially the same circuit. I believe it's the amp boost circuit from the Prism in there, so you can boost it as well. So this pedal really is a utility device, and it sounds great. So this is what it sounds like. I use the blue mode, and yeah, here is without it first. And with the bloom on. So I leave compression on all the time. I've had several compression pedals like Walrus Audio Deep 6, and that is a great pedal. It's very affordable, sounds good, pros use it. Then I had the Kali 76 just recently, and man, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was too confusing for me to get the ratios right, and sounded awesome, and it felt awesome. But I was really drawn to the Jackson Bloom just for some of the extra features, which I do actually use. So great compressor, it's on all the time. I have the EQ to where it just gives me a little mid bump. So as you can tell, it gives a little bit more meat, and yeah, it just kind of gives it some more body, and that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna leave the compression on only. And then next is the Jackson Audio Prism. I got the Prism for the first time in 2016 when I was using traditional amps, and man, it just blew me away. So I figured, why not try it again and see what we come up with. So I'm using the amp mode with the boost all the way up. Pretty much everything is at 12 o'clock, and I have it on the low setting. So this is without. And this is with it on. Off. So as you can tell, it gives me a little more volume, and it's more of a feeling than it is hearing it, but it just kind of pieces some things together. It kind of glues it together. So that's always on with the compression, and that's what I would consider my bass tone. Here's just a little bit of plate reverb from the Big Sky. So yeah, that's my bass tone. That's when I'm setting up, that's what I'm going for, that tone right there. And it does vary guitar to guitar, but with this one, this is how it works. All right, so after that goes to the NanoPog. I've had MicroPog, I had a dual preset MicroPog, I had the Pog 2, and I think I've had like 7 different octave pedals in the Pog series for a long time. My OCD got the best of me, so I got the NanoPog just so it was kind of consistent with the other pedals, but it's great. It works awesome. Here is without. It on. I use that primarily to fatten up some lead lines, and we'll show you some examples of that. Here is the Kilt. And with the Pog. Without. With it on. So it's subtle, but it certainly gives it a little extra something, little saucy sauce. All right, so after that goes into the Gretsch Lightspeed. Man, I've had a Morning Glory, I've had a Bondi Delmar, I've had a Superbolt, I've had quite a few different pedals over the years, and I've seen this Lightspeed on so many people's boards that I thought, why not try it out? And man, is it just so good. This is my stage 1 drive. And you're gonna tell that there's some grit to it, but it's not overly saturated. So here is on the neck pickup with the Lightspeed. Without. So, man, it's just it's a great drive. It can be anything from a clean boost to, you can saturate here. I'll turn the drive all the way up just so you can hear it. So it's just an awesome overdrive. If you don't have a Lightspeed and you haven't played a Lightspeed, I'd encourage you to check it out. After that goes to the JHS Kilt, and man, I've heard of the Kilt for so long, and I've seen it on many people's boards. And me coming from a background where I like to play classic rock and heavy metal and metalcore and all sorts of things like that, having a pedal that has good mids and man, just is really saturated. I'm really drawn to that. So I decided to check out the JHS Kilt, and man, I am not disappointed. So with this, I've got the tone straight up. Volume and gain is about 1 to 2. It's on flat, as well as the G1 switch being up. So here is how that sounds. Man, it sounds really good. And the cool thing about the V2 is you have an external remote that you can use to switch on, which I would use for the fuzz. And have a simple switch. Man, they're great. And I got the vertical one as opposed to like the standard red remote. This is how the fuzz sounds. So that is the fuzz setting on the on the JHS Kilt. All right, there is one other thing that I do with my drive section, and that is using the Bloom boost with the Lightspeed or with the Kilt. So here's what the Lightspeed sounds like again without the boost from the Bloom, and I have that straight up, so I'm hitting the drive hard to saturate the overdrive. All right, and here is the boost from the Bloom. So as you can tell, it just punches the drive a little differently, and it sounds really good. It actually helps me not need another overdrive, which you could be here and say like, well, dude, you have so much on your board. I do, but I could have more, and I choose not to. All right, here's the Kilt without the Bloom. So, man, that's just an incredibly versatile pedal that I enjoy so much. All right, so now from there it goes into just a standard VP Junior. I know the question is, when is the string gonna break? I don't know, but one day it will, and then I will get a different pedal. All right, so from the VP Junior, it goes into the Strymon Timeline. And man, I picked up some presets from multitracks.com. James Burton, who plays guitar for Worship Central, has a phenomenal Strymon pack, and it was everything I was looking for and then some. I've struggled to find good quarter note, eighth note, a dotted eighth, dual delays that I've enjoyed. And so before you ask, I'm not a guy who just asks for presets. I like to find it myself and try and figure it out, but the way he did it just is so good. I don't know, I just kissed the air. So here are some of the presets on the Timeline. This is his Chirp Plus. This is a dotted eighth tape, and this is what that sounds like. And here's with his plate reverb. Here is a tape quarter. And then he has some other cool, so this is his bounce. You know a song that is, post it in the comments below. All right, so from there he has a tape, just really subtle. Then he has a trim delay. Pretty cool. Then a reverse. pattern. It's more like a reverb when you're just kind of picking chords. Then he has this thing called a dark swell. Turn on his cloud reverb with that swell. So there's that, and then he has this ice delay, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, a good old slapback. So those are the delays that I'm using, and I'll just tap in and then change the BPM as I need to. All right, so on to the reverbs. I've got a plate, then a spring. You can't live without a spring. Like, you can't be a guitar player and not use a spring reverb. I guess you can, and I hated spring for a long time, but the more I play guitar, the more I crave a good spring. Can't make a video without that. And then here is a cool cloud verb. And with the chirp. And now here's for some more traditional hall. All right, so there's the hall. Then this cool magneto. And then from there is this really cool ambient reverb. It's just 16 seconds long, just 16. I don't think that's 16 seconds long. Anyways, so it's a bloom reverb. And it has some pre-delay, and then it just like punches you, And here's how I would use this. And if you go back to that dark swell or a reverse, you can use that, of course, for swells. So there you have it. That is my pedal board walkthrough. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully these sounds were inspiring for you to pick up the guitar and play. I know that after I spend some time watching gear videos, I just want to take what I've just learned and start applying it. So if you have these pedals, man, I would encourage you, mess around with it. If you don't have these pedals, mess around with whatever you have. Use your creative talent ultimately to honor God. And if you're not a believer, I would just tell you, man, God has so much in store for your life in the person of Jesus Christ. If you haven't made a decision to follow him, I would just say, look and see how awesome he is. He's full of compassion and kindness and brings peace. And he is a God who came and gave his life for us. And he is just an awesome, awesome Savior, wholly worthy of our whole lives. And so, man, if you haven't given your life to Jesus, I would so encourage you to do so. He is wholly worthy of your life and my life. So, my friends, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.